Hey everyone, welcome back to the In My Opinion podcast, episode 3. I'm Luyanda and
Hi, I'm Jean.
Episode 3 was so excited. Episode 2 was amazing. So much feedback from you guys. We love it. We love to hear from you. We love to hear what you think about the episodes. We love it when you share your feedback and, advice and tips on how we can be better. We love it. We love it because no one is beyond growth. And this is the space for us to just foster that feeling of family because we're a family.
Yes.
So, how was your week before I jump into the topic for this week?
I think my week
First of all, you look amazing. What is it giving?
Thank you so much. I think in honor of, our fallen, heroes or icons, if I may say so. Roberta Flair.
Yes.
Angie Stone.
Oh, yes.
I thought, let me represent.
Oh, I love that. You really look good.
Because I really was sad. But to celebrate the talent and the music, the gift that they've shared with the world. So 100%. I thought that means represent it.
And you are working it.
Thank you,
girl.
Thank you.
It's giving soul sister for real. How was your week?
My week was great. Busy, healthy, doing a lot of things. As I'll share later, when we do
your treasure.
But I've had a great week.
Yeah, it was a chill
and
week.
Looking forward to doing this episode. I think this, the anticipation and the excitement.
I know. I'm also thrilled to be here. Yes. My week was also great. Started off a little rocky. There was a lot of admin going on, as it is. You know what I mean? Yes. But I had an amazing week.
Yes.
The kids are good. We were coming down with a bit of a cold, but we're fine.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're good. No complaints. We have God on our side, honey. So we can never fail.
Who can be against us?
Who? I mean, and why would you even try? Okay, so this week's episode is very emotional for me personally because I don't think I've actually shared this story publicly before. But I mean, there's a lot of my friends and family, those that follow me, know just my journey. So today's episode is about the journey of being a young mother. So, Mom, I wanted us to get on the space and just talk about the journey of being a young mother.
Yes.
I was a young mother. I had my first child at 19.
Wow. Yes. I remember. I was there.
And I think it's important for us to share these stories because I remember at the time when I found out that I was pregnant, I felt very alone because I was just like, what is going on? There was a lot going on.
Yes.
I was overwhelmed. I was bombarded with a lot of, I had to make a decision at that age, I had just finished my matric. I had plans, I wanted to go to varsity. I wanted to live my best life.
Yes.
But when I found out I was pregnant, here's the funny thing about it, though. I instantly knew that I wanted to keep the baby.
Yes.
It was never a question of, am I keeping it or not?
Yes.
And I'm glad I did because hello, the producer of this show, and to be able to say that we've walked this journey together has been amazing. But why I wanted to share my story is because, I want young mothers who've been in this situation to see that, like, when you fall pregnant in your early years, in your teens, it's not the end. Like, you can literally get up, take it in your stride. Everything happens for a reason. Move on. But I also wanted us to discuss the challenges, the ups and the downs.
Definitely.
So, without, obviously wasting time, I want to ask you, Mom, to relate a little bit to me being a young mom.
Yes.
In terms of how you relate to me being a young mom.
Yeah. I think when you were pregnant at 19, it was a shock to both of us, myself and my ex-husband, and we were thrown with a curveball. We actually had to go for counseling.
I know.
So that we could help manage the situation and not make mistakes that we would regret later on. And get guidance and assistance. We were professional, we knew a lot about life, but this was an experience that we needed assistance with.
Yeah.
And we had to be honest about that.
Of course.
So we went for counseling. We went through a lot of emotional ups and downs because you think it's over, but we had to relate it back to us and say it was never over for us. Look at us, but you always want your kids to travel a different road because you know how difficult the road that you've traveled has been or is. So we had to manage that challenge from that emotional space.
Yeah.
So it was not easy. But as soon as we were able to come down, to accept and go through the different emotional changes, we then got to the excitement part of really being young grandparents. And that was the best part of it all, But I think watching you go through the journey of being pregnant, just finished matric. I remember when you went to enroll for your degree, you went to the University of South Africa with your dad, and you were highly pregnant, and you were queuing there and signing up, because I think Jabu saw the future. And he had a vision that the future is education. We mustn't be stuck in what is happening at this point in time. Whilst we are pregnant and we are enjoying the process, but the future still needs to be taken care of. Of course. And that was when, he took you to university and you were ready to start for your degree, which was great.
You're like, you know what? This topic, wait, so when you say you understand the journey you've traveled, share a little bit about that. What do you mean? Like, what about your journey was similar to mine?
I was pregnant at 16. And that's very, very early.
Very early.
In terms of growth, physically, emotionally, your brain has not even fully developed. You are fully developed in terms of your brain at 23. And luckily, my ex-husband was just finished his degree, finished his, honors degree, had the wherewithal to help manage the situation. Without the support of not only him, but the support of his family and my family, I would never have done it without my mom.
Yeah.
I was an extremely intelligent student, outgoing, cultural, drama, and I wanted to be a medical doctor.
Yeah.
From the time I was, a small child. My mom, who was a single mom, had so much anxiety about, I cannot believe my daughter is going through the same challenge, because she also had, kids when she was very young. So it was not easy. It was tough. But as I say, it had to be done.
Yeah.
And when my mom saw the day I was pregnant, she was shocked. She couldn't deal with it. It was as if there was a big hole that just opened up and she just wanted to fall inside. But she supported me fully. I was lucky because my mom was a nurse. So from that perspective, she was able to give me the support that I needed when the baby came, when I needed support in how to raise, feeding, changing nappies, doing everything that was needed.
Child.
You know, she was there. My in-laws were also extremely supportive, you know, making sure that I was fine and everything was fine. So that whole support system and the community also at large, even though it was a taboo that, you know, I was still very, very young, but the support structure was there for me. Yeah.
So I've been doing a lot of healing work.
Yes.
Right. In my life, just looking at my life under a microscope.
Yes.
And, you know, it wouldn't make sense for us to not, you know, lean into this pattern.
Yes.
Your grandmother was a young mother. You were a young mother. I'm a young mother. So the reason I wanted to do the healing work was to make sure that my daughter is equipped, and the generational, I don't want to call it a generational curse, but it is, because you're still very young at that age. I mean, no matter how things turn out, like being a young mom is just, you know, there's so many things that are at play.
Yes.
So I had to tap into that healing work of us looking into generationally, what were the emotional challenges we faced as women in our bloodline, you know? So I just wanted to mention that because, you know, it kind of makes it seem as if we're not aware of the pattern. Yes. But we've always been aware of the pattern.
No, definitely. There is something that we needed to tap into. I also had to really look into that when I was doing my, you know, my healing as part of my awakening process. Because as much as I was growing in terms of my, you know, the corporate job that I had, there was something in me that I didn't feel like I belonged. Whenever I got promoted or got paid a lot of money and I was moving up the ladder, there was something in me that felt like I was being done a favor. And I had to go back and understand what happened when my mom was pregnant with me, what happened when my granny was pregnant with my mom. And I had to go through and really retrace what had happened. And I think it's important that I make this point of when you are pregnant, it's important to watch out for your emotional state, because the baby that you're carrying is chewing in juices of that emotional
100%.
turmoil.
100%.
When my mom was pregnant with me, my dad was not there. And she was anxious. My dad ran away completely. And she had other kids. I mean, my brother, who, you know, I follow, is like 10 years older than me. So everybody in the family thought, oh, it was done. And then my mom had me when she was 49.
Wow.
So I had to do healing work and understand what was she going through when she was pregnant with me, what I was going through when I was pregnant with my son. So there was a pattern that really came through of anxiety, of being scared, of not feeling like, is this the right decision, of having to deal with a lot of things. So now that we know better, we are better equipped with information of understanding that when you are carrying a child, the journey has already started. I mean, at the age of 50, I had to go back and do some work and regress into that space when I was in my mother's womb so that I could heal that feeling of not feeling like I don't belong. And really start owning my space and start knowing that,
honey,
everything happens. I'm here because God has ordained it. It was divine intervention that I was born.
Sure. Yeah. And look, this topic is very emotional for me. Yes. Like it really is. So I too had to go into my own work and look at what was I going through. What were you going through when you were pregnant with me?
Yeah.
And I had to regress and go into what you were going through.
That's correct. Yes.
You know, and now what I really love is that, I mean, I have a 16-year-old.
Yes.
So what I appreciate about how you and I have partnered is that we are open with her. We talk to her about our
Yes.
journey. We talk to her about generationally what the women in this family have been through,
Yes.
and how there's a lot of work that we're doing to just kind of make sure that she has a better, direction to
And have
move in and have
information.
information, because I can't say I had enough information about what I was going through emotionally
No.
that made me
Yeah.
rebel in such a way that I was doing what I was doing to have a baby.
What were you doing having a baby at that age?
Yeah. So I can look back on it now and
Yes.
just be very. I think that, like, I'm proud of the journey I've traveled, because that
Yes.
means I can give the tools to my daughter.
That's correct.
But the other question I wanted to lead into is, because I heard you speaking about community and
Yes.
support. What are the emotional challenges of being a young mother in terms of support and community, like mental health? I want you to just touch on a little bit of a summary of what you think young mothers experience at that age and their journey.
I think if you don't get enough support, things can really, really, really go south. I've seen a lot of young women have their life ending because they've had a child, and they feel like there's nothing more I can do. I have a baby and that's it.
Yeah.
And yet it's not the end of the world. It's tough. I had a baby. I didn't finish my matric at that time when I was pregnant. I had a house. We got married. I was a wife. I was a mother. I was a student. I was involved in the community. It was a lot.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot, Mom.
It was a lot. But I think at that time, I would wake up in the morning, put my baby in the back, go and drop my baby at my mom's house, take the other baby to crèche, and wear full uniform, and go and write my matric, and remove my wedding ring, put it in my school bag.
Can you imagine?
Do that, come back, cook, because the support also is different. In our era when we were growing up, men did not participate, the way men are participating nowadays. However, I think the support that, he gave me, I want to share a story quickly of when I was initially attempting to write my matric. I was doing online, which was called correspondence at that time. He had completed his studies, obviously, at that time, but he enrolled, my ex-husband enrolled with me, and he helped me with maths. And when I was writing my maths exam, he was sitting behind me.
Oh, I love that. It's my favorite story.
Reminding me to say, remember that question we did, remember how we answered it, So that support, gave me the drive because of the exposure that he had on education. And he knew how important education was.
Yeah.
So he really supported me. But at the end of the day, the baby was mine.
Yeah.
As a mother, you really, really, especially the first 3 months, have to do everything on your own.
Yep.
Make sure that the kids are fed, make sure everything is done, make sure that you do your homework. Sometimes I would come back to school with all drawings they would have scribbled on my homework book. And the teacher would be like, what is this? I'm like, I don't know. I think it's my nephew or whoever, So there were lots of challenges. If I really had to give advice, I would say, a child is God-given, and God knows when it needs to happen.
Yes.
But if you really, really need to plan properly, finish your school, finish what needs to be done, especially in your teenage years.
Yeah.
It's doable, but it is tough.
Of course it is.
Anything can happen, and you might not make it. So the best thing to do is really take your time, figure out who you are, study, look at your career, play around, go out, have friends, and do all of that.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you.
Yes.
Because I can mirror my experience with school, because after then I enrolled at UNISA, I decided to go full time at the University of Pretoria to do my degree there full time. And I remember like breastfeeding and studying, at the same time, attending campus every single day, coming back, being a wife. But one thing I really don't take for granted, I had a lot of support, both from you guys and my in-laws. They were my my ex-husband's mother. I love to say she has a very special place in my heart, because she ushered me into womanhood. Because I mean, like, I was a teenager at home. I was just living my best life, So she's the one that gave me that foundation of it. This is how you. She's very tough, So there was a lot of tough love, but she gave me the support that I needed to have the strength, to be a woman of substance, to be a mother that is, So support is very important. I want to tie it back to support. I want to then also ask you, Mom, what do you think women can do to better handle their mental health during this time? Because I mean, there's a lot of postpartum, whether you're a young mom or not, like all of those things that you mentioned impact your mental health a lot. And I also had a lot of, like, I think I had postpartum with MA, because I remember I had to go back to work very quickly after, having him. And that just depressed me. I was like, and I had to stop breastfeeding. It was just a whole thing.
That's correct.
But I managed to get support. So, but I want to ask you, what do you think of, just in terms of motherhood in general, not being a young mother, the importance of just paying attention to your mental health? How important is that?
I think at that time when it happened, my life was so busy that I didn't have the time to even think of what I was thinking about. I didn't even have the time to even feel how I was feeling. And it hit me later on in my 40s, when I started, experiencing trauma and depression that should have been handled at that time. So the support of the husband, I mean, sometimes you find there's a lot of changes that happen in our bodies. You don't feel attractive anymore. Your skin changes depending on the type of pregnancy that you're having. You look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, what happened?
What
is this
is going on?
And your partner plays an important role at that time, because it's a phase that will pass, And so the support of somebody saying, you still feel you look good, you still look cute, you still look beautiful. But if I had to really give advice at this point in time, being present and taking full responsibility and understanding the science of how your thinking, your behavior, and everything that happens in your life affects the baby that you're carrying. If that becomes your priority, and a lot of things, you wouldn't allow them to really take over your life. During that 9 months, you will do everything in your power to prioritize your pregnancy, because you know that you are carrying a soul that is eating from you, that is thinking what you are thinking, that is taking everything that you're taking on. So how you're experiencing the world and what is happening around you at that time becomes very, very important, that you read, you pray, you meditate, you listen to music. You really do a lot of self-care.
Self-care.
Very, very important.
Very important. So, Mom, you know how I feel, but I just wanted to mention that, like, I'm so grateful for the support you gave me personally. You know, our relationship evolved greatly, you know. You then evolved into like a partner more than my mom because you were so open about your journey and just letting me into your world as a young mom as well.
Yes.
But you were also there for me. I mean, Hafsa was the most spoiled grandchild ever.
Yes.
And that's because of you.
Yes.
And I wanted to just say thank you for
Okay.
supporting me through that, because that was also not an easy thing for you guys, as well as it wasn't for me.
Yes.
But I have this blessing in my life, which is a daughter who is insanely special. She had to come into this world the way that she did.
Definitely.
With the story, if I had to do it again this way, I would.
Definitely.
But I wanted to just say thank you for all of the support you gave me. Like, I would never have been able to do it without you. So I love you, girl.
No, pleasure.
So community, I want to extend that discussion, because community, we know that there's a Western form of community, right?
Yes.
But I want to tap into a little bit of what does community mean in the traditional African sense for mothers, not just young mothers, but what role does the African community have in this? It takes a village.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it still happens, but in our culture, as soon as you have a baby, you go to your mom's house for 3 months. So you leave your home so that you can get the necessary support, how to wash the baby, how to take care of yourself. You know, sometimes, I was alone at times with a small baby. You even forget to wash, you forget to brush your teeth. You just don't take care of yourself at all. So in our culture, we have that phenomenon. And now that I'm where I am, I really, really think that was the best way of doing things. It might not be possible at this day and age because of how our lives have evolved. You find that, the mother-in-laws are not there anymore. Your mom is not there anymore, or the family. We live in different family structures. However, if you have an opportunity, it's only 3 months.
Yeah.
If you have an opportunity to really enjoy that privilege of having the support and the assistance, go for it.
Yeah.
Even if your mom comes to your place, even if your whoever it is stays with you for the 3 months, if you cannot leave your home get it and do it. That support is everything. It's gonna catch up with you later on in life in ways that you will never understand. It affects your relationship. It affects everything in the household. 100%. I mean, I remember when we were really going through interesting challenges, even in our corporate environment. I was rising up the corporate ladder. My husband was extremely high up there as an executive. I remember getting a call one day that our son was not feeling well. And my PA walked into the room. I was presenting and says to me, "Your son is not well. You've got to leave and go pick him up." I phoned my husband. My husband is saying, "I'm sitting in a board. I'm presenting as well." And we had that discussion that I'm also presenting.
Girl, I'm also...
But I'm also, And what we ended up doing, we had to buy a car. We had to hire an au pair. We did not have the money. It was not a money issue. But it was, thinking outside of the box to say, how do we survive this?
Yeah.
Because both our careers are important, and no one is willing to let go and say, I'll stay home and be a full-time mom. The train is rolling, growing. We bought a car, we hired an au pair who assisted our kids with homework, picked them up from school.
Yeah.
Because the schools did not understand that you're late,
Yeah.
They're not interested.
Yeah.
So think outside the box and do some initiatives and activities that will help support the growth and the stability of the family.
Yeah.
Because it's sad sometimes to see one parent letting go of their dream.
Yeah.
Because they had to stay home full time. If it's not something that they want to do, if you're willing to do it, great, excellent. When I had my first born son, I was at home for about 8 months after he was born. And I had so much fun nurturing him, taking care of him. And so if you can afford to do that, go for it.
Yeah.
Because it gives also your kids a very strong foundation.
Yeah.
But in today's world, we need 2 salaries.
100%.
Things are very expensive.
Yeah.
You need to support each other financially. But how do you then bring the support structure into your home so that everybody you can go for coffee with your friends sometimes. You can, dress up, put on makeup, and go out and take care of yourself.
Exactly.
Because you still need to look good for your man.
Hello.
You still need to
Hello.
keep wifey duties going.
Boom. Speaking of friends,
Yes.
I want to comment on that as well. It's very important that as a mother, whether you're a young mother or not, to understand that you might need to actually form friendships with other mothers. In my journey, I was able to do that. I still kept my day ones, my besties, and they were always amazing. Still are, we're still friends to this day. But I had to make friends with other mothers as well, who are much older than me.
Yes.
But I had to do that because I still needed a social life, but I also couldn't force myself into a space where it's like I can't go clubbing with this baby.
Yeah.
So that helped a lot as well.
Yes.
That was one of the things I did for myself to make sure that I'm always happy and I'm always just putting myself out there. Play dates, all of that stuff. So that's also very important.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you, Mom, when do you think, at what point do you think family planning should start as a young woman? Like whether it's to prevent pregnancy or to be pro it? Like, I think if I was on birth control, but were we even having that discussion that I was there,
Yeah.
But I just want to talk about family planning a little bit because I think it's something that isn't really touched upon a lot.
I think both for male and females, you've got to take care of yourself first. You've got to make sure that certain things are in place. You don't want to wait until you're too old because you want to save money, but there are some basics that you need to make sure that they're in place. And those basics are like your education.
Yeah.
Get your education out of the way. Get your internal work going. Figure out who you are. Have friends. I will not put a certain age and say you've got to be at this age. However, in your 20s, it's really a bit better. Because in your 20s, you finished varsity, you are able to sustain your family even financially. You are able to manage some of the challenges that come through. So I think preparation is very, very important, mentally, physically, and otherwise.
Yeah.
For both male and female.
Yeah.
Because you still need to be a provider as a young man. How do you provide for your family if you're not ready financially? And being ready financially is making sure that your foundation is in place.
Exactly.
So that I think is very important to prioritize. It's doable, but it is tough.
We need to be having these conversations.
It's doable, but it is tough. And it's tough for people who are ready. It's tough for couples who have the money, who have everything, who have the foundation, there are challenges.
Yeah.
But at least those challenges are manageable if you've been able to take care of the basics.
Exactly.
But if you're struggling with the basics, you really don't stand a chance.
No.
You do not stand a chance.
100%.
Yeah. So, yeah.
But it's not all doom and gloom.
Yeah, no.
I want to talk about the pros
Yes.
of having being a young mother.
Yes.
I enjoy my kids so much.
No.
And like you said, you guys are young grandparents.
Yes.
You guys have seen so many milestones
Yes.
in the kids' lives
Yes.
because you were young grandparents.
Yeah.
You were able to travel with us. We travel together. We go out together. And the children are doing well.
Yes.
They're well adjusted. I just feel like I do want to mention that having kids young sometimes
Yes.
it's nice because
Yes.
you get to grow a little bit older
Yes.
with your kids.
Mm.
And I'm like, after my kids are 18,
Yes.
I'll be on a yacht somewhere, and some people will only be starting their
No, that's so true. What
But-
you're saying is so true. And, I must thank you for being a present mother because that gives me an opportunity to be this hot granny
Hello.
who can then travel, who can do the things that I didn't do because I had a family very early.
Yeah.
If you were not the mother that you
Yeah.
are, I would have had to now start from scratch and parent your
Yeah.
babies. So I get to enjoy the luxury of being a grandmother who is there to take them for sushi, for shopping, travel with them, and do the nice things. And also, I think raising our grandkids and your kids together, I'm still a bit old school in terms of how I really involve myself in some decisions. You bring in the young aspect. So don't underestimate that support of an old school mom.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Where I walk in and say, why are the dishes not done? Please, lingangiphapheli. Lingeningiphaphele. I'm still a hood mom. I'm still a hood granny. And that comes through whenever I need to bring it through. I can give it when I need to give
Sometimes
it.
the kids will be like, oh, Gogo, I want Gogo to move aside so I can go and hustle my mom.
Yes. So I really appreciate you being a present mom because it really gives me an opportunity to enjoy my grandchildren.
I love it for us.
They don't become a burden.
100%.
Yeah.
Look, I don't know. I feel like we might need to go into a part 2.
Yes,
because
definitely.
these are the early years,
Yes.
right? In the later years,
Yes.
I became a single mom.
Yes,
And then I
yes.
do, just touching on where you just left off, want to touch on the journey of being a single mom and
Yeah.
co-parenting and it's not only just about being a young mom, but then the evolution of parenthood from when you were a mother in the beginning
correct,
to the
yes.
steps going forward. So I think we should do that in a part 2.
We definitely need to do a
because
part
it was a bit
2.
heavy, girl. I won't lie.
I mean, the corporate side of it on its own.
On its own.
I remember I would sit in meetings with my boss and my colleagues up until 7, 8. And my boss would look at his watch and say, oh, no, it's fine. My wife will take care of this. My wife will pick up the kids and cook my wife. And I would comment and say, I wish I had a wife.
I wish.
Where do you buy those? I would be sarcastic and say that. And my boss, who was a very sensitive man, would say, guys, I think we need to end this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I let this meeting run this late. You need to go home.
Yeah.
So the corporate world is another one that we need to really discuss in terms of how do you set the tone of not being ashamed that I'm going to watch my kids play soccer, I'm going to watch my kids swim, but it depends on what contribution you also make to enjoy those benefits.
Exactly. So it needs a part 2.
So it needs a part 2, I agree with you. It
needs a part 2. And I'm just grateful that I was able to just share my experience.
Yes.
Because like I said, I worry, man, that like these conversations aren't being had. And there are a lot of young mothers out there, But the way my life has transformed and the way that my life has, I've been able to realize that beyond this God has a purpose for me.
Yes.
And pick it up, honey, pick up the pieces and move forward and make something of yourself. You still need to be someone.
Definitely.
You still need to be someone.
Yeah. I think I'll never forget seeing you with a small baby, leaving the baby at home, and really going into a bus, going to university to study, and having to come back and breastfeed. And I would sit there and say, I wish I can take that away from you and really help you. However, I'm glad it happened the way it did, because I think it gave you the strength to be the woman that you are today. So, but it was not easy. It was tough.
It wasn't. It was tough.
Definitely.
But we are here to have the tough conversations.
That's correct.
I want this platform to be a space where we open up about our lives, within reason, so that people can draw what they can draw.
That's correct.
Let's have the conversations.
Yes.
Let's have the conversation at
So
least.
true.
Yeah. So I think we will wrap up the conversation there but we will do a part 2. I really think it needs a part 2.
Yeah. I think in really closing on this topic, you have to fight for your success as a woman.
Yeah.
You've got to know that there is no other way, but you've got to make your life better. Study, even if you still have those kids, study, be a good wife. You do it all. There is no other way. There is just no other way. Because, the rewards that you're going to enjoy later on are just remarkable.
100%.
But if you find yourself having a baby, whether there's a partner or not, but make sure that your development does not take a backseat.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah.
I've been fortunate enough to be able to structure my life to be a present parent because of the fact that I have university education and I've been able to take my skills. I've had a great corporate life.
Yes.
And now I'm in a different trajectory. Yes. And that was all because I said, honey, I need to be in school. I need to open my mind. So I totally agree with you on that. So, girl, what is your treasure after? But can I just say, can I hold your hand, because this was so hard for me. I was like, this was hard for me because it's like, yeah.
But we are here
and looking. So, what's your treasure for this week?
I think my treasure for this week, I've gone back to knitting.
Love it.
And I didn't bring, but I'll share photos of a blanket, meditation blanket that I'm knitting.
Tell us more.
I think the meditation blanket for me is such a spiritual thing to do. It helps you to be present. It helps, with rheumatoid arthritis. You've got to have movement of your fingers. You've got to keep your mind active. But most of all, that blanket has my energy. So whenever I meditate, I'm able to go really deep because of knitting. Knitting is a very spiritual process. So I'm glad I've gone back to knitting.
I love it for you.
I will share pictures of how the
patterns
are.
Look, I can't. Knit to save my life. I love that, and I love how you've incorporated like the spiritual element of it's a meditation blanket. It's going to be with you. That's creativity, and all of that is just amazing. Yes. My treasure. Let me think. What was my treasure this week? My treasure this week is that the kids and I have been fasting.
Oh, yes.
Yes. The kids and I have been fasting. I love it for us because it's brought us closer in a sense that I'm able to have some very spiritual conversations with them about what does going without food actually mean? Like what is that about? I'm enjoying that a lot. That's a treasure. It's hard. I mean, fasting is not easy. It's not supposed to be. But to see them also just like being so diligent about their fasting, I love it. And that's my treasure because I mean it's such a positive thing that we were able to do. That's my treasure.
And seeing the prayers, I mean, I'm always touched when I see the prayers that happen. And I love when you break the fast because I get to enjoy this scrumptious meals.
Hey man, I have a breaking fast dance.
Yes, exactly.
Everything.
So I love that.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode. We want to hear your feedback. We love to hear from you.
Yes.
We will do a part 2 because
Yes.
there's so many more things I want to chat to you about being a mom in general, a parent, you know, in this day and age, and how, you know, our role as parents in the evolution of technology and school and this and this and this. I feel like this is the best platform to speak about all that stuff. So, yeah, thank you for joining us, and we will see you again, same time, same place.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Yeah. Wow.
How was it?